give the viewer a sense of hope, and despite whatever grotesque or unhappiness underneath the wax. So that's my way of expressing.
Ready.
Okay, so some point in the early of my work, I use a lot of calligraphic approach and a non-representational approach in a painting. So one of the very significant series is called The Voices of Lotus Lovers. And it's a translation strictly from a piece of poetry. It's basically talk about the symbolic meaning behind a lotus. Lotus is a very, very symbolic plant or flower and used by many cultures and religions. So we all know that. So I based on that piece of poetry and translate it. Very interesting. The piece poetry translate the inside of the lotus. Like the poetry is written in, I think it's almost like 7th century AD. And when the artists write about the poems, or when the artists paint the flower, they are not only looking for the outside of the flower, they are also describe what's inside. This is very interesting. Now, when you look at, when we paint in modern time, right, there's a great artist. His name is Terry Winters. He paint images under microscope, of a plant. Well, in the 7th century in China, artists did that already. It's really amazing. Talk about conceptual. But anyway, so describe the inside, the pattern of a lotus, and the outside, the symbolic meaning. So for my symbolic meaning of the lotus, I chose to use is that the lotus flower came from very murky waters, and once you blossom, beautiful, sensational, and sensual, is maybe perhaps poets describe a beautiful woman, and painter use as a perfect gentleman. You come from murky water, corrupted environment, you still maintain erected and beautiful. But very interesting. Lotus, one of the flower is like this. You cannot cut it and put it inside the bottle and decorate your house. You can do that because they die. They only can survive in the murky water, in the nature, and in the sun. So that sort of integrity I use to describe human beings. So I painted the whole series, and then I remember the painting I used. I used a lot of pink and black. I think pink and black to me is so provocative combinations in color combination. This is my opinion, and like 20 years ago. You ask me now, what do you think? I still stand on that interpretation. But and also really interesting too, the compositions is all over. Talk about like Jackson Pollock, where composition, mine is all over, but yet if you can turn a painting upside down, you see different kind of images. So all those non-representational, but yet you are kind of experience images, but yet you cannot tell what exactly it is, but you can experience a sense of floral and beauty, sensuality, human flesh, that kind of approach. And so that kind of effect I want to bring out to the viewers. Vessel. How to say it? Vessel? Say it. How do you say it? Wine vessel. Okay. And very early on, actually in 1991, I graduated from Sacramento State University and with a master's degree in painting. And I still, you know, brushstroke and line is very important to my work. So the quality of the line, abstraction build of line, disregarding with the brush in ink or in oil painting. So I was painting, and actually I paint a large series of the work based on the concept of wine vessel. And so I think it's come from looking at a bottle of wine. I think my family, my dad drank hard liquor, although my dad never been drunk, but I think in Hong Kong when you drink the best of whiskey, you know. You drink the best of brandy. So this beautiful bottle, you know, the XO, you know, this beautiful. You look up underneath the light, you know, the color of the wine, you know. And also very interesting too, the person who drink that is, sometimes when people drink that have sense of need for that, like happy or sad. You know, you drink that hard liquid wine, I wouldn't call it wine, I think we call that brandy. And so in Hong Kong we have different expressions. Wine in here is like, you buy from market. My dad called it juice, okay? So wine vessel, I talk about brandy and whiskey, hard liquor. So the beauty in the inside the bottle, the colors. And also the underlying is the emotions. So based on the concept, I paint a series. So I use a lot of writing and partially use like characters. I reinvent the characters, make it fit into the visual compositions and the thickness of the oil paint. I am really aware of that. I want to manipulate the richness of the oil paint. And so I did a series, and in fact the series, most of the work is really unpleasant. So in fact the large pieces also, I can tell you a story, very interesting. And one of the large paintings is 9 feet by 6 feet tall. And I sold it to a Wickland oil company. And I was so shocked, and a regular business lobby and would hang a painting in such a very emotional, heavily, you know, portray painting. So anyway, it was disturbing for the receptionist. I remember the person who bought the painting told me that his reception came to him and asked him, he said, that painting has to go because I'm scared of the painting. So, and the boss told me that, well, the painting stay, you go. That was funny. In a way, it's not funny if you said maybe she lost her job. Hopefully she didn't. But anyway, that was the story, kind of interesting to me. So.